Joining me in studio right now, Kevin Richards, Ventura Web Design, with our tech news. By way of disclosure, of course, Ventura Web Design, the ones who designed allenstock.com. And how cool. They did a great job. Good to have you here this morning.
Hey, good morning, Alan. Good to be here, as always.
All right, let's get right into a lot of things going on this morning, as there always, a million things always talk about. Let's start out with Taylor Swift, kind of a cutie pie. She recently... Well, she is.
Absolutely.
All right, she recently purchased a new domain and a few new domain names, TaylorSwift.adult and TaylorSwift.porn. Does it mean we're going to be able to go there and see some heavy-duty stuff with Taylor Swift?
I don't think that is the intention. I think the intention is to snap up those domain names so they cannot be used for that purpose. So the interesting thing about domain names, well, first of all, they've been around for 30 years this month. Can you believe that? 30 years of domain names, .com specifically, and there are over 270 million domain names that have been registered since the beginning of the internet. So pretty interesting stuff there. So what happens is the people who are responsible for domain names is ICANN. It's the organization. It's called ICANN. It's a Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, and they're the ones who are in charge of all the domain names, and they release new extensions. So you've heard of .com, you've heard of .net, you've heard of .org, .gov, all that. So they're releasing other ones. They've released .photography, .bike, .today, things like that, .web. There's a whole bunch of new extensions. So the .adult and the .porn, those are going to become available this June, and they're giving celebrities and other people perhaps who have trademarks the ability to buy those domains and secure them in advance so they don't have to deal with the problems of other people buying them.
There's an XXX, I think, too, .x, triple
yes.
X, something like that.
Yep.
Now, I understand that Google, by the way, has decided to eliminate images that are pornographic when you search Google. You can still see nudity, I understand, but you can't see pornography. I'm not sure how they differentiate that.
They're just getting better at controlling their search functions, and they're improving their safe search all the time. We talked about this before. Google is growing up as a company, and their employees are growing up, and they're having kids now, so suddenly that's important to them.
All right, so just go to Tumblr, and then you'll take care of it from there.
Yes, Tumblr, owned by Yahoo.
Is it really?
It is.
They allow everything on there. I've heard.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big Tumblr guy. We always say that Tumblr is for 14-year-old girls, so hopefully there's not too much on there.
Wow. Uber back in the news, trying to repair their reputation. I mentioned this morning, and they've got a safety advisory board. I'm not sure that that's going to do a whole lot because they're still not saying that they're going to go along and do exactly what the other people do.
Well, so I was in Los Angeles last week, and I had the privilege of having a driver pick me up from the airport. And so I wanted to ask him, I said, why don't you, or do you work for Uber in your off hours, or, what do you think? And he spent a good 20, 30 minutes telling me about how terrible Uber is and how the world is coming to an end because of Uber. And I thought it was interesting because everything he told me was the exact opposite of what Uber actually puts out there. For example, Uber does background checks on their drivers, a federal, multi-state, and county background check before they're allowed to drive.
But not to the same level of FBI checks, as I understand, that they do here for our taxis and our limos. That's what I understand.
And that's possible. I do not know. I've not done the full extensive level of research on what they actually do. I can only go off of what they say they do. They say they do extensive screening. They prohibit anybody who's ever had any drug or alcohol offenses or what they categorize as serious traffic violations. And of course, if you've ever had any sexual offense, you're not going to be an Uber driver.
Okay.
The other thing the chauffeur was telling me was that his company has $1 million plus of commercial insurance policy, which is important, especially if you're driving around somebody who is worth a lot of money. He says that the Uber drivers don't have that at all. Uber says the exact opposite. They have a $1 million commercial insurance policy the second you step in that vehicle.
Okay, well, that's good to hear.
They also say that you know exactly who your driver is before you even get in the car with them because you've got a picture of them. They say that your trip is more tracked than your trip with, say, a chauffeur of a private company because your ride is being followed by the app.
But they have no way of determining if the automobile comes up to snuff as it does with taxis and limos because the checks that go on with the vehicles themselves, they do check them out. That is true, but not to the degree I understand is they check out, and they're required to check by law, taxis and limos.
And I think that is quite possibly true because in Uber's own marketing materials, they don't mention checking the quality of the vehicles at all. They only mention other things like actionable feedback about your trip experience with the driver, getting your exact trip history, exactly where you traveled, emailed to you, not having to carry cash, your payments handled automatically by the app. There's a lot of benefits of the Uber app.
And they say they don't have to because they're not directly responsible for those vehicles. The driver is directly responsible for the vehicles, whereas a taxi or limo person working for a company, it's the companies that are responsible. So, a lot of, slighting of words here and parsing of phrases. So we'll come on back in a moment, continue our tech news with Kevin Richards. Joining me in studio right now is Kevin Richards, owner-operator of Ventura Web Design. By way of disclosure, they're the ones who created my great website, allenstock.com. So Kevin Richards joining us here with tech news. I'm still getting texts, too. Thank you, sir. How about that? You owe how much money? No,
You've got a very popular show. What people want to communicate with you.
Let's talk a little bit about Facebook currently having its developer conference. What's this all about?
Yeah, Facebook is getting bigger and bigger every single day, right? So they're doing their developer conference right now up at their headquarters, and they are talking about all the new things. And the one thing I think might be of interest to you and your listeners is that they have announced the Messenger platform. Messenger is the tool that allows you to basically instant message friends through the Facebook software or your app. And as you'll recall, they started making you download a separate app for Messenger about 6 to 8 months ago. And now we know the reason for that. It's because they wanted to start developing that as its own standalone product and start competing with things like AOL Instant Messenger and Yahoo Instant Messenger.
Now, I have Messenger when I go to Facebook, but I never downloaded that app on my iPhone.
Right, it's still good.
I can't access messages.
No, it's still good. I mean, it still works as, it'll try to force you to get that Messenger app, though. I mean, that's definitely what you want to eventually get because they're going to have a lot more tools and a lot more functionality on it.
So I should get it. And you think I should go ahead and
I think you should. We talked about the privacy concerns about it at the very beginning. When it came out and they wanted you to download a new app, it's partially because it has a bunch of new privacy permissions that you need to accept.
Oh, they want to look into my every aspect of my life, huh?
Well, they want to make your life better, Alan. They want to give you more opportunities. They want to see what store you're walking near and give you specials and updates and all that.
Now, tell me, at Google, the glass that they were using, these glasses, tell me that's not... That's dead. I understand that some people are saying they still want to be able to revive it and use it. Those things where you wear the glasses and you can look at people and you can record them and stuff like that, that's creepy.
Well, for everyone who bought the Google Glass for $1,500 and now it's basically a discontinued product, I don't know if you should. I don't know if you should be upset or not about that because Google is going out there and saying, no, Glass is definitely not dead. It is a wonderful product. It was just in beta testing stage, and that's why we called it the Explorer program. So Google's CEO, they insist that it's going to be a product that you will see in the near future.
Oh, great. So maybe we walk around those glasses, and they're not going to let you use them in theaters,
Well, they've banned them from a lot of places. They banned them from bars. They banned them from strip clubs. There's a lot of rules associated with Google Glass.
I think it's weird. Last week,
it does look weird.
All right, I'm glad you agree.
Yeah.
Creepy. Last week, as soon as you left, we were talking about Amazon drones, and as soon as you walked out the door, bam, FAA said they gave their approval to start testing these things.
Right, they gave approval, but it's very interesting what they did. They gave approval if you have a pilot's license or some type of license to be able to actually fly these drones. And the other problem with the approval is that the drone must stay within line of sight of the operator. And the problem with that is how are you going to test a drone delivery if you have to be able to see the drone the entire time? That's not the point of drone delivery.
Well, that's how it is right now. Under this is a beta also. I mean, this is a testing mode that they're in. Is that right?
Well, it is. But the interesting thing is that rule didn't necessarily exist prior to this ruling. All the drones that have been tested and are on the market now, those were all tested in an environment that didn't control you didn't have to have that pilot's license to be testing it and flying it. So, if you're flying a commercial drone, which, if you're a company that's testing and building drones, you're a commercial drone operator, you now have to have a license to be testing that out.
And if you're a pizza parlor that wants to deliver pizzas via drone, theoretically you can only be able to deliver these pizzas within eyesight of wherever you're
across the street.
Oh yeah, or wherever, next door or something. I mean, that's about it.
There was a story. You remember the Vegas casino that did a drone delivery of some very expensive vodka?
Cosmopolitan. They would do, but that was all within the confines of the Cosmo, and so I can't imagine that this would apply to that because it's within their own private confines. They would deliver. The drone would actually deliver the vodka to you, and they would also videotape the whole process, and all that for only a mere
$20,000, I think.
$20,000.
That's great. We can go down to the pool and still enjoy our drone delivered vodka.
And spend the rest of my life paying for
Just
it.
whip out your credit card, Alan.
$20,000. There better be some gold in them, our bottles. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I wonder what brand that was. I mean, that's got to be good.
Gold, gold, gold. All right, tell me about Twitter real quickly because I know they're using some new filter to improve the experience. They say, what's this all about?
Yes, so Twitter is known. It's the place where the trolls of the internet go. If you're on Twitter and you haven't been attacked yet, you really haven't been on Twitter. So Twitter is trying to improve this experience. They realize that their brand is being harmed considerably by the people who are on their network doing that. They're following Google's lead. Google wants to be a place that you can trust and get good, honest information from. So they're implementing filters for that. Twitter is doing the same thing. They're implementing a new quality filter, and they hope that will help hide abusive tweets. So they're going to be looking for words. They're going to be looking for what's called sentiment of a tweet, and they're going to be trying to weed those out so you can have a more positive experience on Twitter this coming presidential election season.
So if you say bad things about someone, it would automatically pop up and would be deleted.
I don't know how they're going to do it because, I mean, the whole point of Twitter is you get to express your opinion and you get to say whatever you want. How are they going to weed these things out? They're talking about removing things that contain offensive or abusive language, duplicate content, or are sent from suspicious accounts. So that might be one way that they do it. If they know that the account is just one of 10,000 that's operated by one single person, which is a very common thing on Twitter, they will view that tweet as being less valuable and just remove it.
All right. Real quickly, this whole thing, I want to go back real quick to the drone situation. Yep. Again, this is a testing state right now. The whole stage is for testing. So it's not complete. So eventually, they might allow these drones to be able to go out of sight, where you cannot see it, but where you can really deliver a pizza across town or, a few blocks away.
Right. We're not there yet. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Amazon pushes it. I mean, Amazon has got the money to, kind of force the government to move forward on something that the government otherwise wouldn't, want to move forward too quickly on. So Amazon very clearly said, oh, well, if, U.S. government, if you're not going to let us do this in America, we're going to go to a different location and be trying it out there. And that's what caused this FAA approval to come through.
Yeah, but again, it's still a test. So
yeah, it's definitely a test. I mean, you're not going to look out your window and you're not going to see the lines of drones flying.
Yeah, but that's just around the corner.
Yet.
I told you that's going to wind up happening. Ventura Web Design. You want to find out more about Kevin Richards of Ventura Web Design? Go to Twitter. No. Actually, what you go to is you go to alanstock.com. On the right-hand side of the page, you'll see the logo that says Ventura Web Design. So you click on that. You can find out more about Ventura Web Design. They'll be glad to get back to you, and you can check out the people there. They do a great job. And again, by way of disclosure, they did my website, which is absolutely great as well. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Always great having you here.
Be here.
Always great having you here.
Be here.